In the busiest space station in the galaxy, a small alien child waited for Santa Claus, not knowing that humans would answer his hope in the most human way possible. The observation deck of Meridian Station hummed with quiet efficiency, the sound of 1,000 alien species moving through the galaxy's most important trade hub. Ships arrived and departed in steady rhythm, carrying cargo, diplomats, refugees, and dreams between the stars. But in one corner of the vast viewing hall, pressed gently against reinforced glass that overlooked a swirling nebula, a small figure sat with unusual stillness. Tavi was a Kelhari cub, barely 7 cycles old by his species measure. His tawny fur rippled with soft bioluminescent patterns that revealed emotions he could not hide. Right now, his colors flickered between hopeful gold and anxious blue. His large, liquid eyes remained locked on the docking bays, watching every arriving ship with unwavering focus. "Still waiting?" The voice came from behind him. It belonged to Noel, a human maintenance technician assigned to this sector of the station for the past 3 standard months. He approached with his usual unhurried gait, a toolkit in one hand and a thermos filled with something hot in the other. Years in deep space had left lines of fatigue on his face, but his expression softened when he looked at the small Kelhari. Tavis' ears perked up instantly, his fur shifting to a polite green. "Yes, Mr. Noel," the cub replied. "Mama says Santa Claus comes during the human winter celebration. It is that time now." "Yes," Noel said gently, settling onto the bench beside him. His joints creaked slightly under the station's Earth-standard gravity. 3 months earlier, Noel had made a mistake. When he first met Tavi and his mother, Shera, he had casually explained Christmas to the endlessly curious cub. Tavi had seized the idea with a devotion only a child could muster. "It is that time," Noel confirmed, taking a sip from his thermos. "But, Tavi, I've told you before. Santa Claus is a story. A legend humans tell their children." Tavis' fur flashed stubborn orange. "You said he brings gifts to good children," the cub insisted. "I have been very good. I helped Mama with translations. I did not bite the Centauri diplomat, even when he called me a rodent. I waited patiently." Something inside Noel cracked. He had seen this before. Human stories traveled far beyond Earth. Faster than ships. Faster than trade routes. Humanity was new to the galaxy, but its myths spread like wildfire, taking root in places no one expected. Shera was a refugee. Her homeworld had been destroyed in a territorial conflict between 2 expansionist empires. She had fled with her cub, finding shelter on Meridian Station. She worked 3 exhausting jobs to keep them fed, their small quarters on level 47 barely more than a box. Noel had learned all this through shared meals in common areas, watching Shera's fur dim with exhaustion night after night. And he had watched Tavi cling to hope. "What if," Noel said carefully, "Santa Claus was real, but not the way the stories say? What if he wasn't magical, just people who tried to do good?" Tavi tilted his head, his translator implant humming softly as it processed the idea. "I do not understand." "You will," Noel said, standing with a grunt. "Keep watching, cub. You never know what might arrive." The next morning, Tavi returned to his post at the viewport. He had slept poorly, his fur cycling through restless dream colors that made his mother stroke his head in worry. But as the station's artificial dawn lights slowly brightened, something changed. A small transport shuttle approached the docking bays. It was unremarkable, except for the crude red and white paint splashed across its hull. It docked at Bay 7. Tavis' breath caught in his chest. His fur erupted into brilliant gold. "Mama," he gasped. "Mama, look." Shera stepped out from their quarters, her fur dull from another sleepless night of work. She followed her son's pointing claw toward the viewport. From the bay doors emerged a figure. Noel. He wore a red maintenance suit trimmed with white fur that looked suspiciously like thermal insulation. A thick white beard, clearly synthetic, hung from his face, probably borrowed from the station's theater troupe. Behind him floated an anti-gravity sled stacked high with packages. Tavi launched himself toward the lift. His mother followed, calling after him with equal parts alarm and laughter. By the time they reached the common area of level 47, a crowd had formed. Not just Kelhari refugees, but Centauri younglings. Elderly beings who had lost pensions to corruption. Human workers whose pay had been delayed yet again. Silicoid miners recovering from brutal industrial accidents. The forgotten. The struggling. The ones the galaxy's prosperity had passed by. Noel, Santa Claus, moved among them with quiet dignity. For Tavi, there was a data tablet filled with educational programs in 6 languages. For Shera, a professional translator certification voucher, worth months of salary. For the Centauri children, nutrient supplements their families could never afford. For the elderly and injured, medication and protective equipment that exceeded corporate minimums. How? Shera whispered, her fur rippling with colors that had no translation. Called in some favors, Noel said simply. Put the word out through human networks. Earth is far away, but we take care of our own. And you're all our own now. Tavi approached slowly, clutching his tablet. His eyes shone with something that made the adults fall silent. You are Santa Claus, he said. It wasn't a question. Noel knelt until they were eye to eye. No, cub. I'm just a man who believes in trying. Maybe that's all Santa ever was, people deciding to bring light into the darkness. And then Tavi danced. It was a Kelhari expression of joy so pure that words failed. He spun and leapt, his fur blazing through every color imaginable. Other Kelhari cubs joined him. Then Centauri children. Even adults found themselves swaying. Noel felt the crack in his chest split wide open. This was why humans reached the stars. Not for conquest. Not for profit. But for moments like this. Later, as families returned to their quarters, Shera found Noel. Thank you, she said. You gave him something more valuable than presents. What's that? The belief that goodness exists. That night, Noel packed away the fake beard and red suit. Tomorrow, he would return to invisible work that kept thousands alive. But tonight, he had been something more. And in the viewport's reflection, he could still see Tavi dancing among the stars.